We've now arrived at one of the most important metrics in Amazon PPC, and perhaps the only metric that your clients will constantly be scrutinizing: ACOS. For Amazon businesses, ACOS represents profitability. The higher it goes, the less profitable you are. But that doesn't mean that the lowest ACOS possible is best, because anyone can easily get a 1% ACOS if they don't care about total sales volume. So like we said a couple lessons ago, we have to keep in mind the whole numbers when discussing ratios such as ACOS. What we're ultimately aiming for is the sweet spot between being competitive while staying profitable and maintaining volume. We want to be competitive enough to gain visibility, win key placements, and secure our share of the market, but we don't want success to come at any price. So we have to stay within our predetermined margins. These margins are ultimately decided by our profitability on each product after fees and costs are calculated, which we just discussed in the last lesson. But for this section, we want to think critically about why ACOS might go up or down and how we can manipulate our PPC campaigns to achieve a more desirable outcome. So once again, let's think critically. What is ACOS? Yes, it's spend over sales, but I don't want to oversimplify things. I'm just trying to get us to keep these basics in mind so that we can properly troubleshoot why ACOS might increase. So if you suddenly see ACOS spikes from one month to the next, that means one of those two figures changed. Either your spend increased or your sales decreased, or perhaps a combination of both. But that needs to be the first thing you look at when troubleshooting a rising ACOS. But let's delve a little deeper. Why would either spend increase or sales decrease? Well, what constitutes spend? Spend is purely a factor of two variables, your clicks and cost per click. So if you see that ACOS spiked, you'd want to look at your CPCs to see if those also increased. And if that's the case, then we know we need to optimize our bids to rein those CPCs in a bit in order to maintain our margins. However, if the CPCs did not rise while ACOS increased, then that means our sales must have decreased relative to our spend over the given period. In that case, the most likely culprit would be conversion rates. Are you tracking the logic here? If we're driving the same amount of spend, the same amount of clicks at the same CPC, but if our ACOS increased, that means our conversion rates decreased, resulting in fewer sales at the same amount of spend. So now we know that we need to create optimizations around conversion rate. This could involve adjusting our targeting to focus on keywords or placements with higher conversion rates, or perhaps we need to optimize the product listing itself. But at least now we have our heading as we navigate how to fix a rising ACOS. So now we know that we need to create optimizations around conversion rate. This can involve adjusting our targeting to focus on keywords or placements with higher conversion rates, or perhaps we need to optimize the product listing itself. But at least now we have our heading as we navigate how to fix a rising ACOS. So now let's do a deep dive to further explore everything that can actually impact ACOS.